Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and you know that I'm a huge fan of hip hop music. I love hip hop music. I like old school, new school. I even like the stuff that I might criticize, because I'm the last person to try to say that that artists with objectionable music are not talented. I allow myself to like the music. I find that it actually helps me to define my critique of hip hop more accurately because I allow myself to enjoy the music that I might criticize. Because at the end of the day, a couple things are true. Number one, music that's appropriate for adults is not always going to have the same effect on children. So, for example, there might be adults who say that they enjoy sex, but they don't think sex is appropriate for a 10-year-old child. Maybe you can look at hip hop in kind of the same way. I think that obviously we want to consider how media affects not just the shape of our own minds, but also the minds of young people that are coming up that are trying to understand how the world works, how they should see themselves, etc. Now, if in case you're not convinced of it yet, I encourage you to go look at some of the research on what media does to the mind. I did a great interview with Dr. Monica Ogando, a psychologist, who explains how music really seeps into your subconscious at an early age, and it can affect how you respond to things. I mean, most of the time when you react to situations, you're using what they call your primitive brain, the part of your brain that doesn't really do logical thinking and processing, just the part that just reacts. And the primitive brain, which is connected to the subconscious, is heavily open to various forms of suggestion. So, for example, you think about a basketball player who practices the same move every day. Well, eventually he's going to do it automatically because he's programmed that into his primitive brain because he's repeated the same process over and over again. Well, the same thing can be true with a message. If every day a black kid gets up and he's repeating the lyrics, of course, to a song, "I'ma kill that nigga, I'ma kill that nigga, I'ma kill that nigga," or something like that. Well, that's going to seep into his subconscious, and it's going to affect how he might respond in certain situations when he's under stress, depending, right? So, you imagine a kid, say on the south side of Chicago, where guns are easily available, also where you have a lot of bullies that bully other kids with guns. So a good kid may choose to get a gun to protect himself or whatever, right? Or a bad kid may get a gun because he wants to join a gang or whatever. And so if you have heard every day lyrics that say "kill that nigga, kill that nigga, kill that nigga," then when you get in you have a gun, you're in a life or death situation. You're gonna say, "I'm gonna kill that nigga." You're not gonna say, "I'm gonna go make peace with that black man." You're gonna say, "I'm gonna go kill that nigga," right? And so, this does affect the way people think. Black people, unfortunately, because our culture is not as well defined as it would be if we say we're connected to Africa or people who come from China and other countries, we tend to get a lot of our culture from media. If you recall back when A Different World was on the air, a lot of black kids suddenly wanted to go to HBCUs. You see that when hip hop artists start speaking a certain way, like when 2 Chainz started using the word thought, THOT, which is about the stupidest acronym ever, it stands for that hoe over there, just in case you don't know. A lot of young kids started calling people thoughts. If I was to invite guest speakers to come to an urban high school and I gave the kids a choice between Neil deGrasse Tyson and Nicki Minaj, who do you think they would vote for? These artists do have a huge influence on our kids, even for good parents. Even when you have good parenting in the home and parents who say don't listen to that Nicki Minaj or don't pay attention to that Lil Wayne or whatever, kids are still going to be influenced more heavily by their peers than by their parents anyway. And so ultimately, we have to think about how this music affects the way we see ourselves, the way we see each other. I don't think any other group of people could be convinced to promote and support music that is singing about their own genocide. When you're seeing every single day little children being murdered in black neighborhoods, why in the world did we ever decide that that was something to sing about? Why, or that's something to glorify? Murdering black people is not something to glorify. And you can't go to the police and to the whites and to the media and say Black Lives Matter if you don't respect black life. If you are singing and dancing and celebrating the murders of young black people, then you might as well be a member of the Ku Klux Klan because you're doing their job for them. You're exterminating yourself. So ultimately, we have to understand that media does matter. If you look all throughout history, all throughout the world, Whenever any group wants to conquer another group, the first thing they try to control is the media, because the media will shape information. It shapes how people think. It affects a lot of things. So never ever be fooled into thinking that music is just music. Oh, it's just fun. It don't matter. No, it's not. It's far deeper than that. Look at all the government programs that have been designed to use media to control the way the public thinks or what the public wants. Media is very, very powerful. Now, one point I want to get to. And was actually the main reason I wanted to talk to you today. And I'm going to share this real quick because I'm going to go because I'm about to eat lunch. Um, is I hear a lot of people say that well, if violent music is supposed to be bad, then why don't we say the same thing about a violent movie? Right? Well, if hip hop is bad, or if hip hop, and I'm not talking about real hip hop, I'm talking about this bullshit on the radio, this corporate sponsored music. This is given to you by an institution, not by an art form. This has nothing to do with what black people are all about. Black people never wanted to be niggas in Paris. We never wanted to celebrate the murders of our children. This is all created and sponsored by corporations where they find specific black people who are desperate enough for money that they will say anything a corporation tells them to say in order to influence the minds of the masses. In order to, and really, the music isn't really designed for you. It affects your children. Your children look up to these people because they see themselves. When I spoke to Minister Farrakhan once for 3 hours, I remember one point that he made that was very interesting was he talked about how children respond to seeing themselves. So basically, young people, when they're watching this minstrel show, young black kids are saying, "Ooh, look at that black man up there who's black like me. He's rich. I don't have any money, so if I behave like him and do what he does, I'm going to be rich." The white kid doesn't look at the black kid and say to himself, "Oh, I want to be like that black kid," because he's not like him. They're getting their role model from somewhere else. Maybe it's from their father, because a lot of white kids have their fathers in the home. A lot of black fathers are not there. And there are systematic reasons for this. It links to racism. It's not a matter of black men not loving their children. It's due to mass incarceration and the war on drugs. And basically, when they criminalize millions and millions of black men, put them outside the system, marginalize them, what it did was it undermined their ability to be adequate husbands and fathers. So, but that's for another conversation. But going back to the white kid sees the black kid, and he doesn't say, "I want to be like that black rapper." What he says is, "Black people are really cool. Oh, this is what black people do." It's a fetish, it's a fascination, it's a minstrel show. So the black man, in order to entertain this white guy, to make his money for his corporate overseer who has financed this minstrel show, he takes this bastardization of the beauty of hip hop culture, and he puts it on steroids. Instead of having 2 or 3 tattoos, he has like 50 all up and down his face and on his body, up and down to the point where he's desecrated his temple. He's not wearing a couple of gold chains. He's wearing like 20, or he's wearing a 10-pound medallion. He doesn't just enjoy leisure like a normal person. He goes to the strip club and throws $50,000 in the air so that he can rap about it. And here's the thing. Here's where so basically that's what hip hop is. Hip hop is created primarily to sell mostly to young white people, but they're not going to be affected by the images in the same way that a young black kid is. But here's the thing too. When you get on that, if you hear people make that comparison that music is the same as a movie, that comparison does not apply. And let me tell you why. Let me give you one clear example why. If I'm an actor, if I'm Robert De Niro, Denzel Washington, anything like that, and I go into a movie, I'm clearly playing a character. You know that I'm not trying to pretend to be anything like I am in real life. This is not who I am. I'm going to portray this character for you because we're engaged in a clear fantasy. It's an agreed upon fantasy. When you see me later on at the Oscars, you might have seen me in the movie playing a hardcore criminal, but I'm not going to be a hardcore criminal at the Oscars. I'm wearing a bow tie, and I'm speaking in a different dialect, and I'm explaining the complexities of the role. I'm talking about the character as if he's somebody else, right? Have you ever seen that when an actor will talk about their character and they will say, what Jonathan really represents is blah blah blah, and you're like, wait a minute, you are Jonathan. Hold on, I don't get it. So ultimately, acting, there's a clear detachment between the actor and the show, and you know that it's the creation of a fantasy. You know it's not real. Everybody agrees it's not real. Hip hop, on the other hand, unfortunately, commercialized hip hop. I'm talking about the bastardization of hip hop, the racist bastardization of hip hop that is promoted, mass promoted by corporations. Um, that's built on keeping it real, right? So in acting, it's like we know this isn't real. Hip hop is all about keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real. When a rapper shows up in or at an award show, he doesn't show up wearing a bow tie and a suit and saying, "Oh, I'm nothing like the character. I'm not Ti in real life. I'm not Lil Wayne in real life." He shows up completely in character. He's exactly who he is because he knows he has to maintain that authenticity in order to sell his records. If you get caught not keeping it real, if that's not really not who you are, then people are not going to buy your music anymore, right? So you even see it spill over into the media. You'll see a story, so and so rapper, so and so Drake and Chris Brown get into a fight at a strip club, and blah blah blah, and gunshots ring out, and Negroes is throwing money and liquor bottles and shooting each other, and all this thug shit that is promoted again by corporate overseers to white people because it's all a great minstrel show. Black children emulate this, they learn from this because in their minds these are the role models they're picking up that are teaching them how to be rich and famous and all the other things that they want. Of course they might have good parents at home, but most studies indicate that young people, especially between say the ages of 12 and 15 or 16, they're more influenced by their peers than by their parents. We're not going to say that parenting does not matter. It does matter, but you can't put everything off on the parents because if parents were the only thing that mattered, then kids wouldn't care if a Lil Wayne or some rapper came to their school. They wouldn't be excited about emulating the way they dress, the way they talk, and the way they behave. They wouldn't be doing all of that because their parents aren't telling them to do this. They're getting it from somewhere. So stop thinking that media does not matter. It does matter. So that's the point I wanted to make about the difference between music and a movie. It ain't the same thing. This weird warping of culture, this weird warping of blackness. It's so phenomenal because it ain't coming from black people. It's just like the killing. When people talk about I do believe. Just so you know, I'm one of those people that does believe in black on black crime. You only have to be a victim of it or watch it happen to know that it's real. That there are black people killing each other in crazy situations. And here's the thing though, most of those guns that are used in those murders aren't made by black people. They're made by greedy corporations that make money when you're murdering each other. So hip hop, commercialized hip hop, the violent commercialized hip hop, to me is part of a broader effort by the powers that be to really promote the idea of black criminality. They want you to be a criminal. You have to understand. See, black men realize this. You were pretty much built for extermination. They didn't want you to be born. When your mother was pregnant, when your teenage mother got pregnant with you, there was probably somebody encouraging her to abort you because they didn't even want you on this planet. And when you get here, every single thing that you are fed from the time that you're a child by the system is designed to destroy you. First, it's designed to murder you mentally. Then it's going to murder you physically. And if it does not murder you, you're going to murder yourself. And in fact, the easiest way for me to exterminate you is to teach you how to kill yourself. So if you go and you really look at the primary systems that influence black men the most, the educational system does not educate you. If your parents are not, if you don't have people that are proactive and able to at least be conscious enough to rise you above all of that, the educational system is not designed to educate you. The music you hear on the radio is not designed to empower you. I don't care who you are. You're never going to get ahead in the world if you stay high and drunk every day. And if you're killing other black people, if you're throwing away all your money, if you're having sex with every girl in the world, and you calling black women bitches and hoes, that's not going to get you anywhere in life. It's not going to lead a black woman to ever respect you enough to allow you to head her household. You're not going to be capable of heading her household because you will have been poisoned so badly psychologically that you're not capable of even knowing the beginnings of what it takes to be a husband, father, leader, and builder. You won't be built that way. You'll be built to be a thug and a gangster and a player and a pimp and all these other stupid things that they tell you that you are in media. What other institutions affect black men? Sports. The NCAA is one of the biggest crooks in the history of all mankind. They steal $1 billion a year from the black community, and not just the billion that they steal. That's bad enough, but you also have the fact that we have millions of young black boys led down this path of sports, dedicating everything, every piece of their future to this stupid lottery ticket of sports and hip hop, mainly sports and entertainment. And most of them don't make it. It's like the Hunger Games. 999 out of 1,000 don't make it. And so one person gets rich. They parade that person to the world as if that's something that everyone can aspire to. But what happens to the other 999? Well, in many cases, these young black men who've defined themselves as nothing more than entertainers and athletes end up becoming a shadow of who they could have been. They lose their whole identity because they're no longer successful in sports and no longer successful in entertainment. Their little hip hop dream didn't work out, and so what's also unfortunate is that that culture sometimes comes with a lot of very bad habits that can end up killing you at an early age. I'm talking about the smoke and the drink and the womenizing, the violence, and all this other stuff that may come with that culture. So ultimately, you're not really built to be a man that is able to sustain and again to build, and that's why our community falls so far behind right now. That's why we're struggling, is because we need a nation of builders. If you look all throughout history and you see where a group of persecuted people has ever been able to overcome their persecution and rise to prominence, it's because there was a generation of builders and visionaries who said, we're going to create something for the next generation that's going to be powerful and strong and lead us to what really matters the most, which really is your dignity. You see, and so ultimately, that's what's on my mind when I really see what's happening in hip hop. Again, continue to go down to the list for black men in terms of systems that are designed to exterminate you. There's no greater system designed for extermination than the prison industrial complex. That it starts from the jump. It starts with the school to prison pipeline, stop and frisk. If you're more likely to be stopped, then you're more likely to be arrested. You're more likely to be arrested, then you're more likely to be incarcerated. If you're incarcerated, we get longer sentences for even the same crimes. But the thing about incarceration is it's designed to be a nightmare in itself. That's where a lot of rapes occur. So prison rape occurs. The man gets out of prison. He has no job. He's completely marginalized, but yet he's still having sex with women. So black women are being infected by the diseases that are caught by the man while he was incarcerated, as well as the psychological abnormalities that come from dealing with severe mental illness. So ultimately, this spread. This just like when they kill roaches and they infect one roach with poison. They give that one roach some poisonous food or whatever. He takes it back to the nest and it kills the whole family. You understand? So, if you want to kill the black community, you kill the black family. If you want to kill the family, you kill the man. Basically, they've been very successful at killing the black man over the last 40 years. So, when you talk about hip hop, we have to really talk about that as yet another system designed for the extermination of black men. Because there's a reason why you're much more likely to hear "kill that nigga" on the radio than you are to hear "say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud." When people were saying it loud and saying they were black and they were proud, that became a threat to national security. And that was when the systems began to kick in to make absolutely sure that you and your children are so dead psychologically and spiritually that you'll never rise up against a system that's designed to oppress you. Not every black person is going to get this message. Not every black person is going to understand what I'm saying. But for those of you who do get it, I want to implore you that we are in the middle of a war. A war has been declared upon us. The worst thing about being in a war is not being outgunned. It is when you have half the population that doesn't even know that you're at war. So, what I would say is that every person needs to be a soldier in this battle. I encourage you to go out into the world and speak your truth with the same ferocity that idiots are speaking their lies. When you see right now, we can't lie. We live in a society right now where ignorance is winning. A show like Love and Hip Hop is going to get a whole lot more viewers than Dr. Boyce Watkins talking on his YouTube channel. But it's okay. It doesn't, if you look throughout history, once again, there is hope. It doesn't take an entire populace to change a generation or to change a community. It just takes a few committed, devoted citizens who are willing to do what's necessary to fight for the next generation. So the fact that you're sitting here and that you're watching this and you're listening to me right now tells me that you are part of this army. So load up your gun, fight to the death, and protect the lives of your children from all enemies, both foreign and domestic, because unfortunately many of the enemies who are hell-bent on black extermination just happened to also be black. That's all I want to say. Now I'm going to go eat lunch. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Please take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.